Hi there, everyone. I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, here for the Night Sky this week, late edition for the week. It's Wednesday, November 8th, and I had to get this in despite a crazy schedule this week. Had to get this in because there's some just really cool things that you have to see in the coming couple of days. And one, of course, is the auroras. I had to get this in because auroras are not all the time visible, but this past Sunday we had an amazing show across Europe and North America. There were northern lights visible as far south as Texas and North Carolina. There were reports in Europe as far south as Turkey and Greece reporting beautiful northern lights. A lot of red colorations. There were some green, pinks, purples, really beautiful. The question everyone has, are we in for more? And yes, there is a possibility for Wednesday night, November 8th and 9th, for possible further geomagnetic storms due to a solar wind stream that Earth is entering. Basically, these are charged particles that rattle, that shake the magnetic field, this bubble-like protective layer around the Earth, and that's when we get a chance to see perhaps there's generation of auroras. So be on the lookout tonight, Wednesday night, November 8th, and Thursday night, November 10th. How do you see them? You look towards the north late at night. Of course, you need clear skies, and if you can get out of the city, out of light polluted areas, you'll see a lot more because light pollution really affects your views of the northern lights. So you want to do that. Love to see in the chat, in the comments, where you're watching from. I can see folks on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter. Wherever you're watching, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it. And if you find value in this video, please do subscribe to my channel, whether it's Facebook page, become my stargazing friend there, follow me, or on YouTube. It makes a huge difference in me being able to bring these live streams straight to your devices each week for free. So with that said, why don't we jump into the planetarium program? This is the view of the sky around mid-northern latitude. That's what I have it set up. So places like Montreal, Toronto, New York, Seattle, Washington, Rome, Italy, Beijing, China, Tokyo, generally that area, that is the latitudes that where the sky is really relevant. But of course, if you're in the southern hemisphere or maybe near the equator, it's the same sky but shifted, and you may see them at a different, not just in the orientation, but maybe the height in your sky of where they're visible. So that will change. But you can see, I've talked a lot about different things that are applicable to both hemispheres. And so this is the sky that you're seeing right here as it looks after darkness falls. This is on Wednesday, November 8th. This is the sky. And what you'll notice is that there is no moon in the sky at all, which is fantastic for us as stargazers, because the moon can interfere with its brilliance of what you can see in the skies. Now, the big thing I think that you'll notice, I know it's like not summertime in the northern hemisphere by fall. We're gonna get like snow here in Montreal in the next 24 hours. So I don't know. I may get like a couple of inches of snow. We'll see. But with that said, we can still see some of the summertime stars in the northern hemisphere. And here is the main ones that I want you to really become familiar. If you're not that oriented in terms of what's what in the sky, this is a great one to start off with. It's a 3-for-1 deal, and I've talked about it many times before, but this is kind of like the last chance of being able to see it. We're in November. It's setting in the west later at night, so you got to be earlier at night, maybe an hour or two after your local sunset. Look for Vega, Deneb, and Altair, creating what's known as this giant asterism is called the Summer Triangle. And each of these bright stars represents its own brilliant constellation. So Deneb is in Cygnus the Swan, Vega is in Lyra, and then Altair represents the big giant mythical eagle, Aquila, the eagle. So these three stars, Summer Triangle, try them out. It's really easy to see. You don't even need to get out of the city to really see these three. They'll shine through even moderate light polluted skies. Check it out, and it's a great way to start learning the sky. And it's kind of like a last chance. These stars will be setting later at night. By around midnight, they're gone. Well before midnight, and in a few weeks they'll be just lost in the glare of the sunset. So, but if we turn our attention also towards the south, there's a brilliant yellow star, or pinpoint of light. That is not a star. It's actually Saturn. It's in the belly of Aquarius, the water bearer. So you want to check that out. That's really neat. Saturn, if you've never seen it through a telescope, of course, you can see the rings. And I can just, with my Sky Safari Pro software that I like to use, this is what it kind of mimics what it would look like there. You can see with all the different moons. Those are the moons that you see tagged with names around it. And then you can see beautiful, majestic Saturn with those iconic rings. Can you imagine? They're only about 5 kilometers across, those rings, and they stretch from one end of the one side of the ring, on one end of the planet, to the other. Guess what? It would fit in between the moon and the Earth. It's a really amazing kind of thing to be able to see that. And then on top of that, what else do we have? We've got Jupiter also pinning down the east. This is the brightest planet in the east. After darkness falls, you can't miss it. Jupiter was in opposition when it's the biggest and brightest just last week. So don't worry. It doesn't mean just because there was one day that it was considered opposition. Jupiter is going to be hanging around looking amazing all month throughout November and well into December. Just whenever you get a chance, do take a look. It's amazing, especially those cloud bands that are visible through a telescope. Just beautiful. Take a look at that. Look, I'm just going to go zooming in. And there's the view of what you would get through maybe a pair of binoculars and through a telescope. Look at this. Do you see those little cloud bands that are crossing the central equatorial region? Just gorgeous. Take a look at that. And of course, you've got the moons, which are also visible through, guess what? Binoculars. Yes, you don't need a telescope to see those 4 Galilean moons. And they're called the Galilean moons. You know why? Of course, our friend Galileo, the Italian astronomer, was the first to actually see it back in the early 1600s. Over 400 years ago is when he first spotted with his primitive telescope, which, by the way, was less powerful than a nice pair of binoculars that you can get today. And so it's just impressive that you can see these details. They're just available in the sky, and you don't have to go out to a dark countryside. You don't have to go somewhere far into a dark sky preserve to see these. You can see them on your balcony, on your rooftop, in your backyard, front door. As long as you got a clear view of the sky towards the east on the evenings, anytime this week or this month, check out Jupiter. It's just gorgeous. And by the way, if you wait later at night, look, watch. If you go like around 7, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, you see that it's climbing in the southeast, kind of dominates the overnight skies, Jupiter does. Just a gorgeous planet to watch. And what else is there? Well, then we've got our friends that represent the wintertime constellation in the northern hemisphere. And those of you that are just heading into the summertime soon, you've got a preview of those beautiful constellations, super bright. Taurus the bull, and of course, Orion, the mythical hunter, are rising right now in the east, and they will be dominating the evening skies for many months to come, and we'll be talking more about that in the coming episodes. But now I want to go into my final thing this week that I think is really, really impressive. Actually, not the final. I have one extra thing to show you. But if we kind of set the clock forward into the early morning, what I want you to look at is there is a whisker-thin moon that's going to be joining the super bright planet Venus. This is now, I'm talking about a couple of hours before, 2 or 3 hours before local sunrise. I know this is something crazy. You got to set your alarm clock super early, about 3 hours before your sunrise to see them at their closest. Okay, so this is what it'll look like through a pair of binoculars. Look at that. It's just going to be gorgeous. Look at that whisker-thin crescent moon, and you have Venus next to it. So this is what we call a conjunction, a lunar planetary conjunction. It is very eye-catching because these are the two brightest objects in the sky after the sun, is the moon and Venus, the natural objects that are there, celestial objects. So they are super bright on their own, but together they make for a very impressive sight. So this is Thursday morning, right? So this is Thursday morning, very early, 2-3 hours before your sunrise is when they're the closest together. They're going to be so close that you can actually see them together in one single view of through a small telescope. This is kind of like how it'll be just about to be able to fit it in. But you know what? You don't need a telescope. Binoculars and also your naked eye will be absolutely beautiful on it. And if you wait a little bit longer, just before sunrise, maybe an hour, a half hour before sunrise, look at this pair. Just gorgeous. This is what it'll look like. Just gorgeous. Take some pictures. I'd love to see them. Share them with me on my comments and timeline. I'd love to see it. Smartphone photography is so easy with something like this, and it'll be a beautiful keepsake. And please do share it on my social media feeds. I'd love to see them. And if you live in the Middle East, in Europe, North Africa, you'll actually see the moon covering Venus. That's what's going to happen. So I'll put some links in my timeline. So that's it, guys. Can you imagine how beautiful this is going to be? It's going to be absolutely gorgeous to take photographs. It's a great photographic opportunity to use what? Your smartphone. That's all you need to take a photo of Venus and the moon, the crescent moon, together. And oh yeah, before I forget, there is also a small meteor shower. Before I forget, that's right. It's called the Taurid meteor shower. It's peaking on the 11th, so that would be in 3 days from now. So on November 11th, watch for that. Friday, Saturday, you'll see a sprinkling of meteors, maybe 5 to 4 per hour. Very short, but they're kind of cool to see. Don't need binoculars or telescopes, just your eye, and look towards the Taurus constellation, which rises, as you can see, in the east. I'll show it to you right now. Let me just go in the east. There you go. Around mid-evening, around 8, 9 o'clock, you can start watching for those meteors. You'll know where it is because there's brilliant Jupiter rising in the east. That's the direction to look for. So check that out. Some really, really cool stuff. I hope you have some clear skies coming up to enjoy these things. I'll put all these sky charts on my timeline. If you find value in this video, please do give it a thumbs up, a like, a share, all those good things, and do subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as my stargazing friend. With that, folks, we're done for this week. I hope to see you next week, maybe during another live sometime this week. But with that, I'm signing off, and of course, I wish all of you clear skies.